Hey there everybody, so you want to see what abundance looks like? There's a couple crookneck squash plants that I planted on this mound here, and they're just loaded up. I've been harvesting off of this constantly, and I've talked about this before, but this is like the perfect size I like to harvest mine at. This one here is already starting to get too big, but still a really nice one here. So I'm going to be taking a harvest off of that. Check out my artichoke. Nice understory to these fruit trees here. And because I love the flower so much of the artichoke, I opted to just let this plant do its thing rather than harvest. I've got another one planted over yonder, and it's not as abundant as this one is, but I'll probably take a harvest off of that one. Check out this kumquat. Oh, it's got bees all over it right now. Smells really nice. Got the chickens doing a little pest control over here. They're not harming anything. And I'm getting a whole bunch of tomatoes now. These are my no-work tomato plants where I just put them in the ground and put a cage around them. Give them some water once in a while. I picked a few cherry tomatoes, but I haven't gotten any full-size ones yet. This plant was actually loaded down, and you can see here I've got a chicken that is really liking these green tomatoes. And so he's probably, or she's probably actually eaten, I would say 7 or 8 already. This one chicken. I'm still harvesting from this sweet treat blueberry. I mean, these could actually even go a little longer, but they are delicious right where they're at. And I forgot to mention before that these will actually hang on the tree for a good month or so. So there is no rush to harvest unless you're concerned about the wildlife getting to it before you. And here I've got an Arctic J white nectarine. It's putting on loads of fruit here for the first time. It's a 3-year-old tree. This has a USDA hardiness zone rating of 6 through 9. It's self-fertile, no need for a cross-pollinator, although that will help with getting a more abundant harvest. But this tree is doing exceptionally well. Probably another 2-3 weeks before I can pull a harvest from it. My jujube trees, and they are flowering, and in some areas, well, maybe not yet, looking for young fruit. I did my best at pruning this. I pruned it, at about 6 feet tall. Next year, I'm probably going to prune it even shorter. This is based upon information I'm getting off of YouTube videos that are in Chinese, so I'm having a little bit of a hard time understanding it, but they are definitely the experts when it comes to growing the jujube trees. And I'm really liking this. You definitely gotta prune though in order to keep this at a reasonable height. Otherwise, they'll go wild. There's a starfruit tree over here. New addition. It's doing very well, likes its spot. Here's another jujube. There's 2 different varieties. And this one I've got a little stake holding it up upright. Seemed like it would benefit from that for now while I get it trained. And this is really good news. This is the Merit Collard that I've been featuring, that I grew from a cutting. And you can see now, it's putting off all these new shoots here. So, it's looking good. It's looking good. And the mother plant, same thing. I'm just waiting for these pods to get, you know, dry on the stem here before I harvest them. They might be okay now if I pick them and just let them stay on the stems for a few days, but I don't want to risk it. There's a lot of seeds here, but you can see this plant's doing the same thing. Putting off some nice new growth. Everything else is looking really good too. This is the calabash gourd. And these come in different shapes and sizes. And so a plant's going to have all the same style of gourd growing on it. This one is definitely the birdhouse gourd variety. And I've done a video in the past where I allowed it to fully dry and then I turned it into a birdhouse. I've got several of them actually around the yard. None of them yet have been inhabited by any birds, but I'm sure that's going to take place here shortly. I just recently made the birdhouses. Oh yeah. So figs are coming on really, really strong. I'm going to get a really, really nice fig harvest this year. See, that one's just about ready to go. Just want to see it just turn a little bit brown right there where it's bent on the stem. Figs are one of those fruits that once you pick them, they don't continue to ripen. So you want to make sure they're fully ripe on the tree when you pick them. But here's just one area where I've got figs. Now over here, I'm looking at over 100 figs for sure. This is putting off an abundant amount of figs. This is 2 trees in one hole that last year I didn't get much of a harvest, like a couple figs, because I really focused on pruning it. As you can see, I'm taller than the tallest point of this tree because I've continually pruned it kind of like a candelabra shape. And I'm trying to keep this small like a bush, just like this. I mean, I'm going to try to maintain it something similar to this size. I'll probably let it get a couple feet taller. But holding down figs everywhere. It's going to be a great, great harvest this year for figs. And I've actually got another area where I have figs too. These trees here are growing like mad. And again, we got a couple just about ready to get picked here. Here's one of the birdhouses I was telling you about. Got some drainage holes there on the bottom. Yeah. Love me some figs. And check this out over here. This calabash gourd is one of the best climbing vines I've ever grown. It's so abundant and fast in its growth. You can see it's almost completely overtaken this hog panel that I turned into a garden arbor. So this is one plant growing on this side, and it's completely vined up, filling in the entire panel, and now it's going up and over, and now it's starting to work its way down on this side, but eventually it's going to fill all this up. And we're already getting some gourds here, and just a little larger than this is when you want to eat them. You don't want to allow them to get too large. How you doing, guys? So this area over here was my compost station, and I was going to rip it all down, but I said, you know what, maybe I can just use the structure and create something kind of cool. So I ended up taking another one of these hog panels, and it has some chicken wire on it just to give it a nice grip for the vining plants. And I've got a passion fruit here that needs to get planted. And again, the calabash gourd is crawling all over it. And back in this section, a little protected from the wind, gets full sun exposure still, we've got the chaya. which is doing pretty good. We haven't been getting that full heat yet, so I'm sure this is going to take off even more once we start getting into the middle of summer. So there's a lot going on back here, a lot of exciting stuff. Just want to kind of give you guys a glimpse of what I'm up to this evening. This is the Mexicola avocado that I planted earlier this year. And you can see at the top there, that's all new growth starting to come out. All the tips are like that. But what I've done, because these young avocado trees really want you know, a little bit of dappled sun in the beginning, not to get too scorched or sunburned, I found this old trampoline, which works just fine, leaning up next to a dumpster. I've also got a burlap bag here. And I have this face towards where the plant gets the hottest midday sun. Seems when it is most affected. And this has been very helpful, helping this plant to establish. Recently gave it a bunch of coffee grounds that I got from a local coffee shop. Also gave it a little bit of organic avocado fertilizer. And you know, thus far I haven't been that big on the fertilizer. I haven't fertilized any of these trees other than the citrus and the avocado this year, and I'm getting amazing results. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. But the wood chips breaking down creates a compost tea anytime water sifts through that, whether it's raining or you water it. And then I am scattering comfrey leaves around a lot of the plants. And I've spot watered some plants with fish emulsion and also some liquid kelp. So that's the update for this evening. Hope you're having a great one. I'll be talking to you again soon.